Recording, I'm guessing. All right, there we go.
We're in.
Good morning. Steve, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Joe. How are you?
Wonderful. Want to thank everybody who's joining us for the live stream today. We have an incredible guest. This is Steve with Haffner North America. Steve, I think we're lined up to do a demonstration to start everything off. Is that correct?
That is correct. Let me switch the screen around, and then we'll show you a quick demo of what we call the T425 double head miter saw.
Beautiful. Let's do it.
All right.
Good.
Go for it.
All right. So we'll bring the heads in together. We'll tilt it to 45, and we'll cycle it down here. So first we'll bring it in. All right, and then we'll tilt the blades here to 45 for our cups on both sides. Here. Blade here. Grab our piece.
Gonna get a little loud here, but it's okay.
Good.
All right, so there you go. It's got a 45-degree angle on a 10-inch by 2-inch high part. So you're
Beautiful.
box. Perfect. Thank you, Joe.
Yep, no problem.
Oh, I love it.
So,
all right, we're back.
Yeah, so that's the TT425. We use a 475 millimeter saw blade, which is about 18 inches. One head is fixed, one head moves, so that creates your finished length part. You can cut 90 degrees and or angles on either a tilt or a pivot. All of our products carry a 2-year warranty. And so that's pretty much it. I mean, if you want to create a box, that's a great way to go.
Awesome. Well, it looks like we got a question that popped up on the screen here. It says, what are the best features of the Haffner miter saw?
Really, one of the biggest things is our 2-year warranty, right? So we have a 2-year limited warranty, which is typically 1 year longer than the majority of our competition. We put in some optional features that as standard, such as when you watch the video, you saw the material support arms retract and go up. So that's also a feature. We also have automatic cutoff. So what does that mean? That means you can put a long part in there and use the movable head and type in, let's say you want 10 parts at 1 inch long, and that movable head will move the material 1 inch and it'll cut it to length. And you can do that multiple different ways. So it's a nice feature to have. The 2-year warranty, as I spoke, is also a great benefit for the product. All of our products, when it comes to the double head miter saws, they include installation and training as well. So we'll have a service tech come out, do the installation, and then train the customers, people, to not only run the machine, but also do the maintenance on it as well.
Incredible. For those of you who saw the demonstration just now and would be curious to see more of a close-up view or expanded experience, on our YouTube channel, we've got a couple videos that are posted showing some close-up shots of the saw performing, as well as overviewing some of the features and benefits that Steve just went through for us. So if you'd like to check that out, we've got that link posted on the video here. So you mentioned service, support, installation. I guess we should know where all that's coming from, right? Where are we located, Steve?
So we're located in Portage, Michigan. which if you drew a straight line between Chicago and Detroit, it's about halfway between. We have a warehouse also in this area and for our parts and service. And so everything will be shipped from our location here. And then also the service department will also send people out from our location as well. Not only for locations, but also for service.
As the Midwest rep, I love your physical location. I'm a big fan of where you are and how you'll service the customer base that I work with. We just had a question come in through the live stream, so let's see if we can get that up there.
Well, the thickest gauge. So, I mean, realistically, if you really wanted to, with the horsepowers we have on this machine, it's a little over 5 horse. You could actually put a 3 solid in there and cut that even in automatic mode. It just depends on the saw blade that you use. So we would use a more coarse blade, so like a 70 or 80 tooth. But it has no issue with 1/4 inch, 3/8 inch wall extrusions or whatever you want to cut through the material. So
wonderful. I love that. So with regard to the footprint of the saw, I know that we've got, of course, we demoed the double head and we've got the single head. And of course, we've, got a kerf cutting saw that's kind of on the horizon for us as well. Hypothetically, we're looking at the smallest and largest footprint for a single head and for a double head. What would that look like?
Yeah, so you can pretty much gauge based on the back gauge. So let's say you had a 15-foot system, right? You're going to say typically 5 feet deep by about 20 feet in length. You got to have a little bit of room to be able to move around the machine, but that's a fair guesstimate, I'll say, with the footprint. So let's say you had a 20-foot or 6-meter system. That's the T425 double head. Even though we say 20 foot, that's the actual cut length that you can do on the machine. You still need 5 feet depth, and you need 24 to 25 feet in length.
Beautiful. So I guess this question that popped up on the screen here, this kind of flows into the size of the machine as well, correct?
Correct. So, but the minimum, no matter what length it is going to be around 14 inches. So you can put the heads all the way down to 14 inches and cut those components not only at 90 and 45 on the tilt. Maximum finished cut length, we advertise basically 15 foot, 20, 24, and 30 foot, but you can go longer. I mean, we've built them before out to 40 and 45 feet long. So it's not a big deal to go longer if it's required. And that kind of dictates what your maximum finished cut length will be.
Gotcha. So we're flexible. We can create somewhat of a custom solution if need be. Is that what I'm hearing?
Exactly. So also if let's say we say 15 to 20 foot, but let's say you only have enough space for 18 foot, we can also do that as well. So we have the flexibility because 90 to 95% of our components are manufactured in our facility. So we have that flexibility.
Oh, it's incredible. I got one question on the fly that I think's something that I kind of run into, and I'd love to hear you expand on it. We got a lot of guys in sign shops, they're going to Lowe's or Home Depot, and they're just getting an average miter saw and they're cutting stuff, and in their mind, hey, what's the difference? And we can see from the demonstration that there's a lot of precision and safety that we get from what we provided. But could you expand on the benefits that having a dedicated, safe single or double head miter saw from Haffner, the benefit that would provide and the value it provides over somebody that says they're picking up something at the local hardware store?
Sure. I mean, you hit it right out of the box, right? So safety is the number one with our product because we use 2-hand safety controls. So you have to push the clamp button and you have to push the cycle start button. And if both of those are energized, then the machine will go through a cycle and the hoods will close and the saw blades will come up. And once you release either button, the blades retract into a tub, right, which is fully protected. The next big thing is just from a standpoint of cutting accuracy. We're going to be have much tighter tolerances. Plus, we're utilizing the whole saw blade, right? So when you tilt it over to do a 45, you're actually using the whole saw blade to make that cut. So we can get out 2 inches tall by 12 inches wide and make a miter cut and hold a very tight tolerance. So when you think about fit and finish, right, and coming together in the assembly after it's been cut, our product will give you that tolerance that it makes it easier and more productive when you move through your shop.
Beautiful. And, you know, something that you saw with the demonstration you did, and if anyone checks out the YouTube channel with the video that we have from Haffner and the one that we produced together out in Portage, they'll be able to see that, you know, we were cutting a sliver off of that extrusion. It was incredibly clean. And, you know, from a guy who's used a DeWalt and everything else in the sun, typically you're cutting something small and something's going flying, you know, the other direction, right? So if you ever need to do something that's precision, clearly this machine is absolutely capable of it. So the next question that I'd like to ask is, can the Haffner saw tilt and pivot? And after you answer that question, can you expand on the values that those resources provide for us?
Sure. So yes, the machine can tilt and pivot. In the sign market, typically you want to tilt as much as possible when it comes to cutting angles, simply because you're utilizing the whole blade. Whether or not you need 12 inches wide or not, but you might have, let's say, a 2x2 tube that you can put 3 or 4 parts up on the table and get the same length, you know, for your cutting. That's probably the biggest advantage from a single to a double miter saw. So when you envision, let's say, a single and a double miter saw, right? When you look at a single miter saw, you're making one cut if you're trying to make a box on one side. Then you have to rotate the extrusion around to make the other side at a 45 degrees. So this takes time, it takes effort. You may lose a little tolerance because that's just the way it goes. Where the double head, when you make a cut, you're dialed in, whether it's 10 foot, 8 foot, 12 foot, whatever it may be.
That's incredible. So the other thing that we probably need to walk through is when someone is considering the investment of a saw, how would you know, our typical client in the sign shop, how would they determine whether it's necessary for them to have a double head, or if it would be appropriate for them to go with a single head instead?
If I would say if you're doing 60% or more, where you need angularity on both sides of the profile, I would seriously consider a double head, because the time it's going to take with a single miter saw is going to be much longer to do both sides. So that's the key portion of it. Yes, there are budgets. Also, there is some space requirements maybe that you have, where you can't have 5 foot over a 20 or 24 foot long, where you just need to use a back gauge. But the key criteria is, what are you doing with your aluminum? If it's angularity, then I would seriously look at a double head, and it's easy to justify if you know how long it takes to set up as well as to make your cuts in the production area.
Awesome. So when we talk about making an investment like this, it's a piece of machinery that, you know, any typical sign shop gearhead would love to get in there. They're really going to appreciate it. Shop guys are really going to love it. It's going to make their life easy. It's going to keep things really safe for them. But when we talk about making this type of investment in a piece of equipment, what would you say the average life expectancy is for that piece of equipment? And that leads us to our next question after you answer that, which is going to be, what's the appropriate maintenance to make sure it reaches that life expectancy as well?
Sure. So during the installation and training process, when we install the machine, our service techs will go over the maintenance side of it. What needs to be cleaned, what needs to be greased, etc. And if that is maintained, right, and done on a regular basis, let's say after every shift or every other shift, where you're cleaning out the chips out of the tub, or so they're not being dragged back through the workpiece. Things like this, 10, 15, 20 years is more than achievable. So you may have to replace some valves or some belts or things of this nature, or some clamp pads that accidentally get cut off or whatever. But the reality of it is with a good preventative maintenance program, you should be able to get 10, 15, 20 years out of it.
Awesome. I mean, that's exactly what anyone would want to hear. I just had a thought occur to me that I don't know if maybe we have discussed this in the past or maybe we haven't. So there's a 2-year warranty, right?
Right.
After we get outside of that 2-year warranty, is there any way or has Haffner considered any sort of maintenance plan as far as, hey, an annual checkup or a biannual checkup that, a customer could sign up for just to make sure they're staying within parameters when it comes to the maintenance of the machine?
Sure. And we have that now. We can offer,
Okay.
yeah, we can offer that at any time to our customer base, even under warranty if they want us to come in and help clean the product and replace some parts, et cetera. So this is something that we can quote on a daily basis if somebody's looking to have somebody come in the shop. But after warranty, of course, we can do the same. So that's readily available through our office, and we'd be happy to quote it.
Beautiful. So let's say we get somebody excited today, right? And they're ready to get a saw. What is the typical timeline between ordering, and starting to get things rolling, and getting a saw in-house? And then the next question would be what type of setup is involved as far as what's Haffner doing and what's the customer doing?
Yeah. So lead times are approximately 5 to 8 weeks currently because we have some machines on the water coming in, but that also depends on which machines we're talking about. But for double heads and single miter saws, those products we will have in stock in the next really 5 to 6 weeks. From a standpoint, I forget the second question you had for me. I'm sorry.
So the follow-up to that would be, what are the expectations as far as what are we doing as far as assembly and setup for the saw, and what is the customer responsible for?
When the product arrives at the customer's facility, it'll already be established what the time frame our service tech will arrive, because we communicate with the customer prior, and usually it's anywhere between 3 and 4 days on a double head, depending on the condition of the customer's facility when the machine arrives. So in other words, if air and power is all there and the floor is in good shape, those type of things, then it's usually 3 to 4 days and it's installed and they're trained and ready to go.
Incredible. So let's say we're interested in getting a saw. What are all the bells and whistles that we can add on to one of the saws to make life easier or more efficient?
Yeah. So for the most part, we created a complete package. So it's almost a plug and play scenario. So when it gets in, it already has in the system automatic cutoff, for example. The lifting bars for supporting the material are already there. You don't have to worry about additional clamps. You've got digital readouts already on the machine for your intermediate angles. So really, it's pretty much a plug and play scenario, depending on the length. But there's usually enough clamps. There's usually there's saw blades included. So there really isn't much they have to even look to purchase. Maybe chip collection, okay, or roller stock tables to support the material, but that's not much really.
And we can customize those roller stock tables. Is that correct?
Well, to a certain point, whether it's width or length, that's not a problem. We usually keep in stock 5 and 10 foot in 2 different widths, 9 and 12 inch wide rollers, so to support the material. So that's not a big deal. So yeah, they can be, it depends on what you really want, but they can be modified or changed, whether it's wider or longer or whatever's required.
Awesome. Well, I tell you what, it's been really informative. I continue to learn more. Ellen, I think we've got in the background, if you could put Steve's email up, it looks like you've gotten my email up. Feel free, everyone who's watching, to reach out to your local rep in your geographical territory if you have questions. We've done lots of promotion of the Haffner equipment throughout social media, and of course, we've got content on the website. So feel free to reach out at any time if you have any questions for quoting or specifications. We've got all kinds of PDF information on everything as well. Steve, is there anything you want to leave us with?
Yeah, we're here. So if you want to come in and visit and see a demonstration, or just send material in so we can cut it the length and then video it and send it back, we're more than happy to do so. The door's always open, and you're welcome to come. Joe, we appreciate it. And
Hey, Steve.
Dorson Associates does for us as well. So thank you very
Awesome.
much.
Well, it's an incredible partnership. I appreciate you making time to get on and share and explain with us today. I'm sure it was beneficial for everybody that got on and checked it out. So information's below. Everybody, thanks for watching. Have a great day.
Have a good one. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving.
Cheers.